Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the important or major straits of the world, which is going to be very important from the UPSC Prelims examination perspective. Mapping based questions have been frequently asked by UPSC from this particular topic or theme itself, we can say. So before discussing the important straits of the world, let us try to understand what does the term strait mean. So if you look at the geographical definition of a strait, in simplest way, we can explain it to be a small and narrow channel. As you can see from this particular image itself, this area that you are seeing here, this is a small and narrow channel. This is the water bodies. Satellite image, if you look, generally the red color and the dark color represent land masses, and the dark color here black represents the water bodies. So you can see a small water channel in an oceanic landform or cross sea also that largely connect two large water masses. Again, a strait is a narrow water body, narrow water passes that connects two large water bodies. For example, this is a strait. This side you have large water body, this side you have the large water body. All across the world, if you look, because you know that 70% of our earth is covered with water. Most of them are in sea and ocean. So that's why the number of straits are very high. 200 straits roughly or approximately we can say we find on our planet. Most commonly it is narrow ocean channel that is between two land masses also. Now it is interesting, if you look here, we can say that it is a narrow water passes that connects two large water bodies, one on this side, other on the other side. Other way of defining it is also, it is narrow water passes that basically is separating two large land masses. One landmass, continental landmass we have on this side, one continental landmass we have on this side. So narrow ocean channel that lies between two land masses. These straits are very important from the navigation perspective. We could not have moved in large part of our earth, especially in the water bodies, that means sea and ocean, if straits were not present. So it provides us accessibility across the land masses, or we can say in between the land masses, to move from one sea to other sea. We'll discuss example of this also. Now coming to one of the most well-known strait, that is referred as Strait of Gibraltar. If you look at the map here, this side you have the African continent, this side you have the European continental landmass like this. So somewhere between African continental landmass and European continental landmass lies the strait. It basically is not very wide, just 13 kilometers is the width of this particular strait, and it connects which water bodies? So answer would be Mediterranean Sea, that is lying to the east, and you have Atlantic Ocean that lies to the west. Which land masses does it separate or lies between? So answer would be here. Why we are calling it as Gibraltar? Because you have a small island here called as Gibraltar. Gibraltar actually is a territory of United Kingdom because of colonial history, we can say. And on this side you have Morocco, which is a country in Africa as such. Plus on the other side also, beyond the island, you will find Spain. So three major places we have to keep in mind here: Spain, island of Gibraltar in the north, and then we have Morocco in the south, Mediterranean Sea in the east, and Atlantic Ocean in the west. Now there is very interesting geological finding that we have made, that somewhere if you go back 6 million years ago, somewhere between 5.5 to 6 roughly we can say, in our planet's history, Gibraltar was blocked by geological activity. Because what is going on here? So you would have studied in geography, continental convergence is what we are seeing. So African plate is pushing against the Eurasian plate here, and that is why many times here you have the blockage that we have seen. So when this is a 13-kilometer wide channel, when it is blocked by geological activity, what would happen? Water is continuously pouring or flowing from Atlantic to Mediterranean Sea. So that water cannot move. That means gradually what happened? Mediterranean Sea does not have any access to new water, fresh water, and whatever water it has before, it kept on evaporating. And due to this evaporation, what will happen? We know that in the ocean salinity chapter, you would have studied that higher the rate of evaporation, higher is the salinity of the water. Because when evaporation occurs, it is only water molecules that leave the surface and the salt is left behind. So this phenomena or this event is referred as Messinian salinity crisis. Mediterranean Sea, geologists believe, would have dried up completely because there is no incoming Atlantic water as such. And also, as of now, it is commonly used for illegal immigration from Africa to Europe, because I told you this side you have African continent, this side you have European continent, and in between you have Mediterranean Sea. So everywhere else the width is very large. That is why many of the ships, they are basically, or boat we can say, they are plying from this region to this region. So most of these immigrants reaches the coast of Spain in this regard. The second important strait, we can say strait, man-made strait also we can refer it as Panama Canal. It was completed in 1914. 1914, that time it was a humongous engineering challenge or task to construct a canal across the landmass, because if you look at Panama Canal here, this side you have Caribbean Sea, this side you have the Pacific Ocean, and here you have a small country in Central America called as Panama as such. So basically Atlantic and Pacific are not connected naturally. So how can we move? So if suppose someone is trying to move from New York City to San Francisco, in other way we can say from the eastern coast of USA to the western coast of USA. The only this viable path they had to they had to move was by crossing the entire, or we can say circumnavigating the entire South America. They travel this distance, again they travel this humongous distance in Pacific, and then they could reach only San Francisco. That is why it was decided that we should have a small channel here. If you can make a small canal here, this humongous distance can be reduced to just this small distance as such. So that was done, and overall it led to reduction of 8,000 nautical miles. If you compare this path and this path, there is a difference of 8,000 nautical miles. That is roughly we can say as about 12 to 13,000 kilometers as such. About 12,000 ships pass through Central American Canal, that is Panama Canal, each year. So very, very important navigable for the navigation route of the world. In year 2000, till 2000, it was largely controlled and managed by government of USA. But in 2000, under a pact that government of US signed earlier, it was turned over to Panamanian government as such. And since 2000, it is under the control of Panama. Now, recently again, canal has made news headline because of Donald Trump's claim, where he has stated, publicly stated actually, that decision of US government to hand over the canal to Panama was the foolish decision. It was decision of fool. That is a term that he has used, and that's why he has stated that US should again take back control of the canal, because Chinese interest is growing in this area, and if we do not take back control of the canal, China can have effective control over this vital, we can say, navigation route that connects eastern and western part of North America, or we can say United States of America more precisely. That's why a lot of interest is being raised. Third is Strait of Magellan. When Panama Canal did not exist, I told you the only viable route to connect Atlantic to Pacific, to connect the eastern coast of North America and western coast of North America, was through Strait of Magellan. Now, Strait of Magellan is lying in the southernmost part of South America. This you can see is the entire South American continent. And this is here, basically this route that you see is Strait of Magellan. So it basically separates, on the southern side you have an island that is part of Argentina called as Tierra del Fuego. If you look here, Tierra del Fuego Island. And overall to the north you have the main South American continental landmass, that is where you have the Argentina, Punta Aretas you will find here on this side. So Punta Aretas in the north and Tierra del Fuego in the south. It is through this you can have a connectivity. Country wise, if you look, it is surrounded by two major countries. In the western side you have Chile, and in the eastern side you have Argentina. So between Argentina and Chile, most important natural passage between Atlantic and Pacific. If you talk about the natural passage, then obviously it is the Strait of Magellan. Panama Canal is also a passage, but what kind of passage? That is man-made canal. California Gold Rush, a very significant event in the history of North America or USA, we can say, where a lot of people wanted to migrate from the eastern coast of US to the western coast of USA. Why? Because there was large scale gold found in the western coast of USA, especially around Nevada region. Even today, the largest gold mine of USA would you find, and also we can say one of the largest gold mine of the entire world actually, in the Nevada region of the western coast of USA. So a lot of people were traveling from eastern coast to western coast, especially the colonial powers also, Spanish colonialists and the British colonialists, they have been interested in the western coast of US. So that time Strait of Magellan was used as a major transportation route. That's the Strait of Magellan. Then coming to the Asia, you have a very important strait called as Strait of Malacca. The Strait of Malacca is this red region that you see on this southern side. You'll have Sumatra Island of Indonesia. I can write here. This is Sumatra Island, and on the north side, this particular landmass is popularly referred as Malay Peninsula. Here you have countries such as Malaysia, Singapore. Further north you have Thailand. So it is roughly 800 kilometers long. So very, very long. If you look at the entire longitudinal distance, 800 kilometer long island, long strait connecting Malay Peninsula and the Indonesian island of Sumatra, as we have discussed. Now question comes, which water body does it connect? So if you go on this side, you have the South China Sea, which is part of which ocean? The answer would be Pacific Ocean. If you come and cross the this particular strait and come on this side, this is your Andaman Sea, which is part of which ocean? Indian Ocean. That means we can say Strait of Malacca. What does the Strait of Malacca connect? It connects Andaman Sea of Indian Ocean to South China Sea of Pacific Ocean. What water body or basically we can say between which land masses does it lie? Simple answer would be Malay Peninsula in the north, Sumatra Island in the south. And the importance of this strait can be gauged from the fact that over 94,000 vessels pass each year through this particular strait, and they make up roughly a quarter of world's traded goods. That means if you talk about the international trade, global trade, about quarter, that means 25% of this trade is passing through Strait of Malacca. What is the reason? Reason is that it basically connect the oil producing countries with the oil consuming countries. For example, China is one of the largest oil consumer, gas consumer of the world. And in the Middle East region, if you go here further in the West Asia, they are the largest oil producer. So most of the oil and gas that goes to China, Japan, these countries passes through Strait of Malacca. So we can say it basically is providing also the transit route from Persian Gulf to the Asian market as such. And that is where the importance of Malacca lies. Many times with reference to Malacca, you will hear a term called as Malacca dilemma. Malacca dilemma is basically a geopolitical dilemma of China, because China to a large extent depend on this Strait of Malacca. As long as this Strait of Malacca is open, China would be able to keep getting the commodities, oil, gas, whatever it wants. But in the case of adverse situation, if suppose a war-like situation erupt in the future between India and China, because Indian Navy has a dominance in this southern part of the Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean, we can say there is a possibility that Indian Navy, we can say, can block this Strait of Malacca. So any blockage of Strait of Malacca would significantly hamper the economic interest of China, and China is strongly dependent on Malacca as such. That is what in geopolitics is referred as Strait of Malacca. That's why you would see China is taking a lot of interest in developing alternative path, and that is where the role of China-Pakistan economic corridor passing through Gwadar port of Pakistan and going all the way up to Xinjiang in China, you would see. Why? So that the reliance on Strait of Malacca can be reduced. That's why they also are trying to build a lot of overland gas pipelines, oil pipeline from Russia to China, so that again dependence on the seaborne oil and gas can be reduced for Chinese economy. So from there everything comes. Decision, we know that most of the economic decisions are byproduct of geopolitical realities, and many times geopolitical realities themselves are shaped by the economic interest of countries. Very, very important point to remember. Now coming to the next strait that we have is Bosphorus and Dardanelles. These are very vital strait, and the Turkish control can be overemphasized. Can be strongly emphasized here. And if you talk about these two straits, they act as a bottleneck between the Black Sea, where you have Ukrainian port here. This area is also continuously coming in news. This is the region where you will find ports such as Mariupol. You would have heard about place such as Odessa. So both are there in Ukraine, and Russia has tried to capture this. The reason is because Russia also want access to the port in the Black Sea region. So they act as a bottleneck between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. These are also called as choke point because they're very narrow, and Turkish Navy can easily block the access either from Mediterranean to Black Sea or Black Sea to Mediterranean Sea. That's why very, very important, vital. Turkish city of Istanbul. Istanbul, you would have heard about, is very interesting city because the same city is lying in Asia also, and the part of the city is lying on the Europe also. So this side of Istanbul, if you go, you are in European continent. This side, if you cross, you are in the Asian continent. So very interesting. Bosphorus is in northeast, and the southeast state is Dardanelles. That means two straight you can see from here. Okay, let me make it clear. So example, if you talk about this is the first strait, and then this here you see, this is the second strait. So this strait is what you call as, this is Bosphorus. This is Bosphorus. And then the southeast strait, as you cross here, this is called as Dardanelles. Now, if you have to be very precise, what does this strait connect? Suppose question is asked, what does Bosphorus strait connect? To be very precise, you have to say it does connect the Black Sea in the north, and here you have a small sea. This is called as Sea of Marmara. So Black Sea in the north and Sea of Marmara in the south, connected by Bosphorus. Then question is, what does Dardanelles connect? The answer would be it connects Sea of Marmara in the north and Aegean Sea in the south. Aegean is a small sea that is part of the larger Mediterranean itself. So basically 3 water body you have to keep in mind: Black Sea, Sea of Marmara, Aegean Sea. You have to pass through 2 straits, Bosphorus Strait and Dardanelles Strait, if you want to move from here to there. Together, because you can see everywhere here you have Turkey, the green region that you see represent the country of Turkey. So Turkey has absolute control over both of these straits. That is why popularly they are referred as Turkish Strait as well. So keep in mind Bosphorus and Dardanelles, very important from examination, because this region of Black Sea is continuously in news from last couple of years due to the Russia-Ukraine war. Then recently another strait was in news, that is called as the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is this region, as you can see, again a very narrow strait that connects, basically we can say, Persian Gulf you have here. So Persian Gulf in the west, and here you have Gulf of Oman in the east. So Strait of Hormuz connect Persian Gulf and Strait of Oman. Which landmass lies around this? So in the north you can see this is the Iran northern part. Southern part, 2 countries you can find here. One is UAE, this part up to here if you saw. This is United Arab Emirates, and this upper part that you see is basically an exclave of country that is Oman. This region is called as Musandam Peninsula. Peninsula because it is a landmass surrounded by water from 3 sides. So Musandam Peninsula is exclave. Exclave means what? Exclave basically is, suppose that you have a country. This is a particular country, suppose A. This is the entire geographical territory of A. And somewhere outside of this geographical territory, you have another territory here that also belongs to the A. But this is surrounded by other countries. Let us suppose this country is B. So this is a mainland territory, and this is A, we can say it is the exclave of A. It is found outside of the original territory of A. So that's the Musandam Peninsula, one of the world's most strategically important choke point. And that's why Iran every now and then keeps on coming up with a threat that they would block the Strait of Hormuz if US forces attack them. Recently also we have seen when US sends USS Abraham Lincoln toward Iran to threaten it, Iran has stated that they would mine this entire area. They will put a lot of sea mines so that shipping becomes almost impossible and costly. And why it is vital? Because again, if you look at the LNG, liquefied natural gas, third of world's LNG and almost 25% of total global oil consumption passes through this particular Strait of Hormuz itself. And that's why, because it is very strategic, very vital to ensure that the global oil and gas trade is not disrupted, US military and its allies continuously keep on monitoring this strait as such. That is the very important Strait of Hormuz. You would have heard about this in news definitely. Then coming to next strait, we have is called as Bab al-Mandab. Bab al-Mandab basically translate into gate of grief. It is a strait between where this strait. This is your Bab al-Mandab. Right, this strait that you can see. This is Bab al-Mandab. What does it connect? The answer would be Red Sea in the north and Gulf of Aden in the south as such. Which countries are located around it? So in the north, you will have Yemen, a country that is in chaos right now because of civil war like situation. And in the south, this is the region called as Horn of Africa. And in the Horn of Africa, you have 2 countries here. One is Eritrea, and further south, if you come, you will have Djibouti. So Eritrea and Djibouti in the south, Yemen in the north. What does connect? Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. It is a bottleneck for sea traffic between Mediterranean Sea and the Indian Ocean, because from Mediterranean, ships passes Suez Canal, crosses Suez Canal, enters into Red Sea. Then while flowing through or moving through Red Sea, they enter into Gulf of Aden, and from Gulf of Aden they can enter into Arabian Sea, and then entire Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean becomes open. Estimated, again very important from the oil perspective, 3.3 million barrels. Total oil production in the world is 43 million barrels. And out of that, 3.3 million barrel of oil passes through this strait that is Bab al-Mandab every day. So very vital choke point again to ensure that global oil trade is not disrupted as such. So that's the Bab al-Mandab. Next we have is Suez Canal. Suez Canal, as you can see, is connecting Mediterranean Sea in the north and Red Sea in the south. Basically, it is a man-made canal that is starting from Port Said. On the Mediterranean side, you have Port Said, and then on the southern side, you have the Port Suez or Gulf of Suez, we can say. It is about 103-mile long, only canal or only water body that connects Red Sea and Mediterranean Sea. 1869 was the year when it was completed by French diplomat Ferdinand de Lesseps. He was the one who has seen the or overseen the construction of this canal. Then British took control of the canal, and Egypt from 1882 until 1922. Then further 1956 was the year when government of Egypt nationalized the canal. It is around this area you will find Sinai Peninsula to the east of Suez Canal, very strategic area again. And in Six-Day War between Israel and Arabian countries, Israel was able to take control of the entire Sinai Peninsula and could have exercised effective control over Suez Canal as well. But later on, for the peace agreement, or under the we can say to honor the peace agreement, Israel returned back this peninsula to Egypt as such. Then we have a Strait of Dover. Strait of Dover connects, you have France in the southern side and UK on the northern side. So narrowest part of the water body, that is called as English Channel, is what we are calling as a Strait of Dover. This side if you look, it is connecting English Channel in this area and North Sea here. So North Sea and English Channel connected by Strait of Dover. It is under the territorial waters of two countries, France and United Kingdom. But very importantly, under the United Nations Convention on Law of Seas, or UN clause, we say the right of transit passage is granted to all the international ships here. That means they can easily move through Strait of Dover without taking any permission from the government of France and UK, unless and until they have some this inimical interest against this country, inimical design against this country. Most maritime traffic between Atlantic and North Sea and Baltic Sea passes through Strait of Dover. So very, very important for connecting the northwestern and the northern part of the European continent. Then we have Bering Strait. Bering Strait basically you can see is here. On the northern side, if you go, you have Arctic Ocean, and on the southern side you have the Pacific Ocean. That is what it connects, separated. If we talk about land masses, so this is Russia. In Russia, this is called as Chukchi. Chukchi is the region. So Chukchi Peninsula of Russia, and you have Seward Peninsula of Alaska. This is the 50th state of USA. You would have seen in the map. This is Alaska. So what does Bering Strait basically, or between what land masses Bering Strait lie? Chukchi Peninsula of Russia and Seward Peninsula of Alaska, that is United States of America. The strait was named to honor the discoverer, a Danish explorer called as Vitus Bering. Vitus Bering was an explorer who was working under the Russian Empire and the service of Russian Empire, we can say. So he was navigating through all this area to understand the distribution of water and land on the earth. Most important point about this strait that you have to keep in mind is the international date line. The line along which the date and date changes passes through Bering Strait as such, right? Because this is 180 degree of the longitude. So ideal is passing through this. That means if you cross from here to here or here to here, date and day will change. You will have to add or subtract 24 hours. So that's the importance of Bering Strait. Then we have Danish Strait. Danish Strait refers to the strait that is around Denmark. From Denmark, the word Danish has been taken. So what does it connect? Actually, first of all, we have to understand Danish Strait is made up of two straits. If you look at the map here, one is this called as Kattegat, and further up north you have what you call as Skagerrak. So Kattegat, Skagerrak, these collectively are what we call as Danish Strait. What is it connecting? In the south you have a sea called as Baltic Sea, and further up north you have North Sea. So these straits connect Baltic Sea and North Sea. Historically, because as you can see, you have the Denmark, the main country here. So historically, this entire strait was connected by Denmark, but later on, Sweden and Germany also had crucial interest here. So Germany is lying here. Sweden is this country here. You can see this is Norway. Sweden and Germany. So now it is controlled by, you can say, three countries: Denmark, Sweden, and Germany. Basically, shared control we can say here. Copenhagen Convention was signed in year 1857. It made all the Danish straits open to commercial shipping. So again, right of commercial shipping is enjoyed by all the countries here. They can easily move through this strait if they are undertaking commercial journey. The straits have generally been regarded as international waterway, though it seems that it is surrounded by all the, basically you have NATO countries here, Denmark, Sweden and Norway, but it is considered as an international waterway because all ships have right to pass through this particular strait. Now very interestingly, Danish Strait we have discussed. And then you have one strait that is called as Denmark Strait. Now, many times people think that both are same because Danish Denmark comes from Denmark itself. But there is a difference. Danish Strait is different, Denmark Strait is different. Denmark Strait you can see is here. Again, very interesting and important to note down because Greenland has been in news for quite some time due to the US interest here, Trump's claim of capturing Greenland by force also. So, Denmark Strait basically connects Greenland. Greenland you have on the northern side, and then you have the Scandinavian Peninsula in the southern side, or Iceland we can say actually. because this is Norwegian, this is Iceland. So Iceland and Greenland, between them lies the Denmark Strait. What does it connect? The answer would be Greenland Sea here. Near the Greenland, you have Greenland Sea further up north, and then as you come to the south, you have the Irminger Sea. Irminger Sea is here, that is part of Atlantic Ocean. So it connects the Greenland Sea and Irminger Sea. Overall, it is roughly 480 kilometers long, but the narrowest part of this strait that you look here, this is the narrowest region. Narrowest part is lying between Hornstrandir, that belongs to Iceland. This part you see, the northernmost part, Hornstrandir, and then we have Cape Tupinier on Greenland's Blåseville coast. So that is what basically separates. Largest waterfall in the world you will find here in Denmark. And this very interestingly, if you talk about the continental landmass, largest waterfall is Angel Fall, that is roughly I think 978 meters, something like that. Angel Falls in Venezuela. But the largest waterfall, actually highest waterfall, is near the Denmark Strait, which is roughly 3000 meters deep. So basically cold water, warm water comes from Ennebringer, and by the time it reaches here, it becomes cold, and cold water start to sink down. So it sinks along the continental slope, we can say, in this area, in a valley like a structure, and that's where you have very deepest waterfall. So very interesting point to observe here. Then next we have is Park Strait, that is between India and Sri Lanka. This is the location that you see. This side we have Tamil Nadu, this side we have Sri Lanka. So Tamil Nadu of India and Jaffna of Sri Lanka, that is being connected by Park Strait. Water bodies by it connect Bay of Bengal, because this side if you look, you have Bay of Bengal, and the Park Bay you have in the southwest, that is the Park Bay. So this is the strait. So Bay of Bengal and Park Bay, that is connected by Park Strait, roughly 40 to 85 miles wide and 85 miles long as well. The strait is named after Robert Park, who was governor of Madras between 1755 to 1763. You would have studied about him in the Indian history. And this Park Strait is also known for a project that was this we can say designed during the British era itself. After that, many time discussions were held during the post-independence India also. That is called as Setu Samudran project. The project basically envisions that the entire area that you have around Park Strait should be dredged. Dredged means excavated, so that the water depth here can be increased. And for that, you have to remove all the shoals, rocky surfaces, corals, and all that you have here. Why? Because currently here depth is so shallow, larger ships, bigger ships that need deeper water level cannot ply through this area, through this strait as such. They have to move like this. Suppose if a large ship has to move, let us say from Kochi port in Kerala to, let us suppose, Visakhapatnam in Hyderabad. So they will have to go like this. They cannot move through Park Strait because the water level is relatively less shallow water, we can say. That is why Setu Samudran project envisions that we should excavate this area, dredge this area, water depth will increase, and then we will not have to go through this entire distance. We can simply pass through Park Strait. So there is a lot of protest because of environmental perspective, conservation of coral reef perspective, plus religious, because what do we have here? If you talk about the Park Bay, you have the Ram Setu, that is having historical and religious significance in Hinduism. So that's why this project has not taken off as of now. That's all about this particular video. I hope you understood about the most important facts about the most important strait of the world. Very important from examination perspective. That's all. Thank you very much.